Hello everybody and welcome to this practice quiz or practice exam for exam objective 1.3 of the CompTIA A+ 1101 exam. What a mouthful. Now you may notice that I am actually filming in my car, and that's simply because I can't find a quiet place to film in my house, so I've got to adapt. I've got to kind of change things around to make it work so I can make these for you. And in the same way, when you're studying for your A+, you might not have 8 hours a day to study, but that's okay because with the right study method, so long as you target the correct areas and study in the right way, you can absolutely still study even if you only have 1-2 hours a day, or even if you're trying to squeeze your study sessions in at work. That's exactly what I did when I was studying for my A+. I had to take particular resources to work, and while I was on duty at school, I was a teacher at the time, while I was doing my lunch duty, I actually had to pull out this little piece of paper and study on the go while I was on duty, on my little tiny breaks that I had while I was shoving my lunch down my throat, trying to study very specifically, very efficiently, and I ended up passing on my first time. So you can do it. If I could do it under those circumstances, you can do it as well, 100%, guys. You just got to focus on the right areas. And today, the areas that we're focusing on is, of course, exam objective 1.3. So guys, in this video, we're going to go ahead and take a look at 1.3, which is, given a scenario, set up and configure accessories and ports of mobile devices. So we're going to look at every single one of these sub-objectives in these exam objectives, guys. We're going to look at connection methods. I'm going to give you multiple questions on this. We're going to look at USBs and the different types of USB cables that are available. We're going to go ahead and look at lightning cables, serial interfaces, near-field communication, or NFC. We should remember that from the exam objective 1.2, I think, the last video we did. Maybe it's 1.1, I'm not sure. And we're also going to go ahead and look at Bluetooth hotspot. Okay, going to give you plenty of questions on those, going to tell you what you could potentially be asked, going to give you explanations for each of them as well, guys. And then, of course, we're going to go ahead and look at accessories, touch pens, headsets, speakers, and webcams, and finally, docking stations, port replicators, and trackpads / drawing pads. So, without further ado, I don't want to waste any of your time. I want to respect it as much as I possibly can. Let's get straight into it with our first question. Our first question is, Matt has a very old mobile device which has been dead for a long time due to lack of use. He is rummaging through his drawer to find a cable that will help him to charge it. Based on the description given, what type of lead should Matt look for? A, micro USB, B, mini USB, C, USB-C, or D, lightning? The correct answer is B, mini USB. So mini USB cables, guys, essentially they're used for really old mobile devices, things that are kind of not really in the current century, but they still had the ability to connect via a cord. So we're thinking about older mobile phones, older mobile devices. If there's something in the description about it being a mobile device that is particularly old and you're connecting a cable to it, there's a really, really good chance that it's going to be a mini USB for that. So an old mobile device is probably going to be mini USB. And if we go back and take a look at the actual question, let's take a look at where some hints were for that, right? So Matt has a very old, that was the first hint we get, mobile, which has been dead for a long time. So it's old, it's been dead for a long time. It hasn't been used for a long time, and it's old due to a lack of use. Again, another hint, it's an old mobile device. So a lot of stuff there we could pick up on if we know what we're looking for. He is rummaging. So you really got to search for some stuff, some old leads, right? You're looking for something old through his drawer to find a cable that will help him charge it. So you can see there a lot of descriptions about it's a mobile device, it's old. So those are the things that we might want to look for. There's little subtle hints about what lead we might be looking for. And that's sometimes what you're going to have to look for in your exam. They're not just going to give it to you all the time. Sometimes they will. Sometimes it's really easy. But a lot of the time, you might have to read between the lines a little bit. So with that being said, guys, let's look at some of the other options that were available there. So we talked about mini USBs right there. And now let's look at the micro USB. So the micro USB is used for connecting to mobile devices as well, just like the mini USB. But it's kind of more modern. So Micro USB, you can see the shape there, generally that it looks like. You might recognize that. You probably have seen a micro USB recently a lot more than you've seen a mini USB, and some modern devices do use the micro USB. So if it's really, really old, it's mini. If it's kind of more modern, it might be a micro USB cable that you're looking for. Although, that being said, not always, right? So in the super, super modern devices, we're actually looking more at USB-C these days coming in. So it's used to connect to very, very modern devices, essentially. And one of the key benefits about it is you can plug it in upside down, I guess you could say. So you don't have to worry about making sure you plug it in the right way, because it can be plugged in either way. And it's also got, pretty decent speeds in comparison to the other older kind of cables. So a brief summary of that, guys, is mini USB, really old mobile devices, super old, like outdated stuff. Micro USB, a lot of devices that are mobile devices still use this to connect, but if it's particularly modern and if it's a cable that you can plug in upside down and has really high speeds of or rates of data transfer, we're looking at USB-C. So keep that in mind. Let's do some more questions on connection methods and get on with exam objective 1.3, guys. Let's do it. It can be plugged in upside down. We went through that, and it's the newest and fastest USB cable. So if you see any words about your mobile device being a new one of the newest ones, then USB-C is probably going to be the one that you're looking at. Some other things. Oh, crap. Lightning cable, guys. My mind's all over the place today. Sorry, everybody. So we also had lightning cable as a potential option. So Lightning is an Apple proprietary, that's a key word you're going to want to know for the exam. It's an Apple proprietary cable, and that essentially just means that it is created by Apple and it can only be used by Apple. No other device that is not Apple will use a Lightning cable. So if you see that you're looking for a cable that's going to be plugged into an Apple device, immediately it's Lightning if it's an Apple mobile device. And in the same way, if you see that a Lightning cable is being plugged into something, you know it's being plugged into an Apple device. So questions might ask you things like, Sarah needs a cable to charge her iPhone. What cable should she use? It's going to be Lightning because an iPhone is Apple, right? So make sure you make that connection in your head there. And that's about it for the Apple. Other than that, it can be plugged in upside down as well, just like the USB-C. Lightning cable can also be plugged in upside down. Okay, guys, now it's 100% safe. We're going to move on to the next question in relation to connection methods. Let's go. You have been given the task of connecting to a network device with a physical cable in order to configure it. Which of the following cables should you use in order to achieve this? A. USB. B. Cat6. C. Serial. Or D. Firewire. And the answer is C, serial. Now, serial cables, guys, we're going to go straight into our explanation here. Serial cables are essentially used to connect to network devices in order to configure them. So if you are being asked to physically connect to a switch or really any kind of network device in order to configure it, immediately you know you're using a serial cable, okay? If you're connecting to a network device to configure it, you're using a serial cable. That's pretty much it for that one. As far as I can think, the base information, I think that's the main link you need in your mind for the exam. If you're connecting to a network device, it's a serial cable. Now, some of the other options there. We had a Cat6 cable as a potential option. A Cat6 cable is an Ethernet cable. So that's a cable that provides an internet connection, okay? So if you're connecting to an internet connection through, or to a network through a wire, you're going to be using an Ethernet cable. They have multiple different categories, I suppose. The different categories you don't need to know for this particular exam objective. That's going to come in later, and we're going to go through those in detail. But just know that a Cat6 or a Cat5 or a Cat anything really cable is going to be Ethernet, and Ethernet is internet. So that plugs into an RJ45 port as well. Okay, so that is not used for connecting to network devices to configure them. That is used to provide an internet connection through a wire. And guys, we know what USB cable is. We've been through that already, and Firewire is not in the exam objective, so I'm not going to waste your time by going through that. Just know that you really don't need to worry about what FireWire is according to the exam objectives. I didn't get any questions on it, so it's pretty safe bet we can completely ignore that. Now let's move on to the next question. Charlize authenticates to her door lock by holding her phone up to the electronic component for a few seconds, after which the door opens. What technology is responsible for this? A. NFC, B. DMARC, C. DKIM, or D. Bluetooth. And the answer is A. NFC. So guys, NFC is used when you tap your phone to pay for something or authenticate to a security device. So whenever you're using your phone and you're tapping either to pay for something or to authenticate, we're talking about NFC, guys. NFC is near field communication. So you're holding your device in a close proximity to another device of some sort, and some data is being transferred. There's a data exchange happening there. In terms of your exam, the main link you need to know is if you hold your phone up to something to pay, it's NFC. If you hold your phone or a badge up to something to authenticate, it's NFC. Okay, that is what we're looking at there. Holding a device up to another device and a data transfer occurring because you're holding them in a close proximity, NFC. Okay, keep that link in your mind there. Another option there was Bluetooth in that question. Bluetooth is used to wirelessly connect to devices. I'm sure you've used it in your day-to-day life. If you connect to a wireless mouse or wireless headphones or anything wireless, a keyboard, anything that you can possibly think of, you're using Bluetooth. So if a question asks you, what connection method is being used when Michael connects to his wireless mouse, not his mouth, his mouse, you know it's going to be Bluetooth, right? So keep that link in your mind. If you're wirelessly connecting to something, it's Bluetooth, guys. Okay. Let's move on to the next question here. Lachlan would like to sit in a public park while he does his work, but he will not have access to Wi-Fi here. How can Lachlan allow his laptop to access the internet without a Wi-Fi network? A. 802.11x, B. Hotspot, C. 802.af, or D. PRL update. And the answer is B. Hotspot. So guys, I'm sure at some point in your lives you've either used a hotspot or seen someone else use a hotspot. A hotspot is when you use your phone as a mobile hotspot and allow other devices to access and use your phone's cellular network. So a hotspot essentially is where you take your phone and you click a button that says activate mobile hotspot, and then that says to your phone, hey man, look, I know you really like using cellular data to, browse the internet, but we're actually going to let our laptop access that as well and use your cellular data, okay? So you hit that button, and what that does is it makes your phone almost act as a router, okay? And then you can go on your laptop, open it up, go to the Wi-Fi settings, and you'll see the name of your phone or whatever your device has been configured to be named pop up as a potential option. You'll then click on it. You might have to enter a code that you can find on your phone, and then you'll connect to your phone and you'll be able to use your phone as a tether to access the cellular network that it usually uses. So if you want to access the internet despite not having access to network by using your phone as a tether, that is a hotspot. So the main link that you really need in your mind for the exam is if you're using your phone to allow another device to access this cellular network, then that's a hotspot, okay? So if you get a question that says something like, Mark wants to go to a cafe, but the cafe does not offer Wi-Fi, how can Mark use Wi-Fi? How can Mark allow his laptop to access the internet at the cafe? One of the options is probably going to be hotspot, or maybe perhaps they might phrase it in a weird way like mobile phone tethering. They might try to mask it to make it a little bit tricky. But in that case, you're looking for hotspot, guys. You want to use your phone as a tether to allow your device to use your phone's access to the cellular network. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. Now, guys, we're going to look at some other questions in relation to connection methods that you might be asked. So you could be asked, based on the given scenario, what connection method is being used. So based on whatever scenario they give you, what connection method do you think is being used in that scenario? Another question you might be asked is, based on the requirements given, what connection method is the most appropriate? So they might give you a scenario and ask you to choose which connection method they should use in that scenario. So for example, that could be like, Mark needs to connect to a network device in order to configure it. Which connection method should Mark use? And in that case, we'd want to use, of course, serial, right? We talked about that. Serial is the one there, okay? You might also be asked which connection method matches the given description, or you might be asked to identify the connection based on an image or a photo. So they might actually show you a photo or an image of what the connection looks like, and you'll be asked to identify it based on the image of the connection. That could be an image of the lead or an image of the port that the lead plugs into as well. So you need to be familiar with that too, okay? So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next question now. Let's do it. In order to complete his graphic design assignment, Matt needs a device that allows for precise touchscreen capabilities. Which of the following combination of technologies should Matt look for in order to meet these requirements? A. Digitizer and touchscreen. B. Digitizer and touch pen. C. Touchscreen and digitizer. Or D. Physical input interface and touch pen. And the answer is B. Digitizer and touch pen. So guys, let's go ahead and talk about the explanation to this one, because this was a bit of a tricky one, almost trying to trip you up a little bit, because some were like half right, but there was an answer that was just the most right. So the explanation here, I'll read out the slide, then we'll talk about it in more detail. The digitizer allows for touch screen capabilities, and the touch pen provides a higher degree of accuracy. Ideally, a drawing pad would be used for this specific task, but it was not an available option here. So guys, essentially what we wanted for this one, he wanted to do precise touchscreen. He wanted something with precise touchscreen capabilities. So touchscreen, you need a digitizer, 100%. The digitizer is what allows your physical input to be used as actual input to the device. It translates that. Now, if you use your fingers, sometimes it's not entirely accurate, but a touch pen can help make that much more accurate. So the question specified precise, right? So that means you want something with precision, okay? So if we go back and have a look at the question, option A, digitizer and touchscreen, that's almost redundant, because if it has a digitizer, it's assumed that there's a touchscreen there, because a digitizer is what enables the touchscreen capability in a sense. B, digitizer and touch pen. Digitizer, so it has touchscreen capabilities, which meets the first part of the criteria for the question, and then touch pen allows for the precision part of the criteria of the question. So that's like already glowing to us. C, touchscreen and digitizer, that's actually the same as question A, now that I look at it. So that was that was a poor question written by me, my bad. So we know why that's not the right answer, bit redundant. And D, physical input interface and touch pen. I made physical input interface up, so that's kind of a gibberish answer to just make it sound more complicated and trick people up if they don't know what they're talking about. Okay. You might also be asked in relation to this, what is a touch pen responsible for? So what does a touch pen do? You might be asked, given a scenario, does the person require a touch pen? Do they even need it? They might not. Is the issue with the digitizer or the touch pen? So you might be asked to figure out if it's with the digitizer or the touch pen. That's up to you to figure that out. Think about how you might troubleshoot it. So for example, if you have maybe multiple touchscreen devices, could you eliminate some variables in a way to figure out which one is the problem? Probably, right? How could you do that? You think about it. Sometimes it's good for you to think about it, not for me to just feed you the answers. Because when you think about it, it's somewhat clear. So have a think and try to figure that one out for yourself. All right. Now, the next part of the exam objectives that we have to talk about is here on the right, headsets, speakers, and webcam. Now, I didn't do questions on these because honestly, I want to respect your time, and I don't think they're worth their own questions, considering we've already covered them a little bit in earlier exam objectives. So the questions you're going to get on headsets, speakers, webcams are going to be so simple. Honestly, I don't think it's worth me doing a practice exam question. Okay, so here's just some general things you might want to keep in mind when it comes to these topics. So for headsets, they can be plugged in using a 3.5 millimeter jack, or they can be connected wirelessly through Bluetooth. Right? Honestly, I think that's all you need to know about this for this exam objective. Speakers can be connected with wires or wirelessly through Bluetooth as well, right? So pretty similar. And webcams, you're going to need to know probably where they're located and how you might troubleshoot it too. So they're located at the top of the display for the most part. And if you want a separate one, you can purchase an external webcam that you plug in via USB, right? Or potentially some other cable. But that's a potential workaround you can get there, right? So that's what you need to know about those ones. Really, we're going to go ahead and move on now. All right, let's do the next question. Your client is insistent on purchasing a docking station for their laptop. They intend to take it with them in order to ensure they have multiple display port options in order to guarantee compatibility. You plan to convince them that there is a better option. What option do you recommend instead, and why? A. Carry an adapter for every port type. This will increase the performance of the digital signal. B. Carry a port replicator. This will provide multiple port options while being extremely lightweight and portable. C. Carry a portable NIC to ensure wireless connectivity to screen shares. Or D. You do not need to convince him of a better option. A docking station is the best option. I'll give you a little bit more time to think about this one. And the answer is B. Carry a port replicator. This will provide multiple port options while being extremely lightweight and portable. So guys, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the explanation here now. The main thing you need to keep in mind is the distinction between a docking station and a port replicator. What is a docking station? What is a port replicator? And what are the differences between the two? So a docking station is a very bulky option, and it's not easy to transport. Usually they stay at your desk. You don't transport them anywhere. They're designed to be kept at your desk, so when you bring your laptop in from somewhere else, you can easily plug it in and have all of your peripherals connected at that one spot, okay? Port replicators, on the other hand, can be easily transported to provide multiple connection options. So you can unplug your port replicator very easily from your laptop, slip it into a component in your backpack, slip your laptop in your backpack, go somewhere, pull it out, bada bing, bada boom, you're ready to go when you get there. And that's what I did as a teacher. You know, I'd always have a port replicator on me because I don't know if the classroom I'm going to has a wireless connection or whether I need an HDMI cord or whether I need a VGA. Some classrooms these days still have VGA cables, right? So I had to have a port replicator that had HDMI and VGA and an audio option with a 3.5 millimeter jack as well in case it used separate audio. It was just, I needed a lot. And I could not do that with a docking station, guys. I can't be lugging that around. I need a simple option that I can put in my backpack and quickly plug in to use whatever it is that I need to use. And a port replicator is exactly what I needed in that situation. Another additional detail, which you probably want to know for your exam, is docking stations are proprietary and generally very expensive too. So you need to order them from the manufacturer because the docking station is specifically designed for that specific laptop. Whereas port replicators, you can buy them anywhere and they just plug into a USB or USB-C port, right? So they're very, they can be used with any device that has that port. So that's another reason why a port replicator might be good, because unless you really need a docking station because you have a lot of peripherals and you're at a desk and you're never going to move it, and you know, it has the exact ports that you need for that laptop, maybe a port replicator, if you don't want to spend all that money, port replicator might be a better option. And in a lot of instances it is. But if the question emphasizes it's always at the one desk and there's a lot of peripherals to connect and they want a proprietary device, then you're looking at a docking station. Otherwise, port replicator is usually like the go. So let's go ahead and look at some other questions that you might be asked on this topic. You might be asked, based on the scenario, does the person require a docking station or port replicator? You might be asked, based on the scenario, is the person using a docking station or port replicator? You might be asked to explain the difference between a docking station and a port replicator. So basically, guys, you're going to need to know how to identify a docking station and a port replicator, and you're going to need to know what the difference is between the two. That's the main thing you want to know for that one. Now, on to, I think it's the final question. I might be wrong. Let's go ahead and take a crack at it. You would like to purchase an external device that allows you to interact with your device using your fingers only. Which of the following best meets these needs? A Bluetooth mouse. B, a trackpad. C, a stylus. D, external digitizer card. And the answer is B, a trackpad. So guys, as we can see here, the trackpad is essentially what allows you to use your fingers and actually scroll with that. Okay, so most of your laptops will have a trackpad inbuilt, but if you don't have a device that has an inbuilt trackpad, you can buy an external trackpad for that as well. And you can also buy a drawing pad, which generally is designed to be used with a specific stylus and has a little bit more precision. So if you're doing graphic design or that kind of thing, or you need that super precision, you want to go for a drawing pad. But trackpad, you use your fingers, you scroll, it has different finger movements depending on how many fingers you use, it'll do different things, all that kind of stuff. And then a drawing pad just allows for a little bit more precision with the use of a stylus, right? So that's what you need to know for your exam. You might also be asked, what does a trackpad do? We know what it does. You use your fingers to input on the device, right? That's pretty simple. We've all used a trackpad, I'm sure. And if you haven't, then you've probably been living under a rock. You might be asked, based on the scenario, is a trackpad required? Do they even need one based on what they've described their needs are? And you might also be asked, what is a possible solution if a device has a faulty trackpad? We talked about that. You can get an external one. That is a great solution to that problem. All right. So, guys, that is the exam, right? I hope you did well. If you didn't, take note of the questions you got wrong. Now, on to my mandatory plug for my excellent learning resources that I have for the A+ 1101 exam coming up. I have a complete learning guide where everything is broken down by exam objectives, okay? I have comprehensive notes, as you can see right here, where I give you the notes, I give you the key terms, so you've got everything there, because guys, honestly, writing notes, as far as the literature is concerned, is a waste of time in studying. You don't want to waste your time writing notes. You want to spend your time actually doing effective study routines, and thankfully, I got that sorted out for you guys. I've got active recall questions that you can come back to right here for every single exam objective. So what you're seeing here is only about maybe a third or half of the active recall questions just for exam objective 1.1. And look at how many there are, guys. So you got at least double that waiting for you in the complete learning guide. I also have detailed questions with detailed answers. Some are scenario based, some are simple that you can use to study. And that's for every single exam objective. Not one, not two, not like 5 questions for the entirety of exam objective 1.0, but that is for exam objective 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, all the way down to the last one, right? So that's pretty good. So it's essentially a complete guide showing you how to study, what to study, so you can spend less time worrying about how you're going to pass and what study method you need to use, and simply spend that time going through the learning guide and doing the activities here, because I also have learning activities right here with specific and detailed instructions that are backed by literature on how you should learn, where we're using cool techniques like Bloom's taxonomy to study, if you've heard of that. We're using active recall. We're focusing on creating our own resources as well, because that's where you really access those higher degrees of learning, right? So I've got everything set out. I've been a teacher. I know how to teach things, and I know how to learn it because I passed both A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus on my first try. So I know how to study, and I know how to do it well because I've been teaching people to do it for a couple of years as a teacher. And also at journeytocyber.com, guys, I have that's a learning guide, right? Sorry, so you can see how it's broken down by exam objective. And I also have a practice exam over there. That's completely free. So even if you don't want to buy any of my stuff, you can go ahead and grab the free practice exam over at journeytocyber.com. There's no catch there. It's completely free. You don't get there, and it's actually $2. It's not like I give you half of it and then I ask you to buy the other half or get access to the answers for $10, you get a complete practice exam with performance-based questions as well that you can use to help study in there for free, guys. So my hope is that you find value in this video. You head over there, you buy my high-quality learning resources, and you buy my free practice exam, and then you say, hey, this is actually really, really, really good. And then you go ahead and buy my other practice exams, which are really affordable, guys. Super affordable. Honestly, I think I'm the cheapest out there, and I think I have really high-quality resources, so go check them out. All right, I'm done plugging. Have a good day, guys, and I'll see you in the next installment for Learning Objective or Exam Objective 1.4. I cannot wait to see you there. You're going to smash your A+ exam. Bye, guys. Have a good day.